so I'm going to try to keep everything in view. You can see I already opened it. This is basically what you're going to see when you do open it. You have forward straps here. That are adjustable two ways. So you can adjust the top to allow you to put a jacket or a bedroll at the top, and you can adjust the bottom to use these also as bedroll straps at the bottom. You have your axe loop reinforced with nylon webbing on the inside, really sturdy. You have two giant pockets on the sides, also adjustable. And you could fit clothes in there. You could fit, you know, a couple nights worth of food, a couple days worth of food anyways. So you have one on that side, you have one on this side here. Very large pockets. I already went over that, but there's your bedroll strapping to the bottom to accommodate for larger and smaller sizes. On the back, this is the sleeve that fits over the frame. So your frame just goes inside here and it stops at the top. You have a drag handle or a carry handle. And this strapping right here goes across the frame. The version that I got here is woodland camo. He sells them in different colors and camo patterns, schemes. On the inside here, you have a zippered mat pocket, which typically I'll put a poncho and a rain jacket in or something like that. Stuff you want quick and easy access to. And then as you open it up, you have a drawstring cord around the top that you can bunch up, so this flap will cover it all. If I can get it loose. So the flap will cover the whole thing. And it'll open wide, so it's basically like a big bucket type bag. You can see this orange on the inside here. You can get a hydration pouch in there, or your sleeping pad, or however you want to do that. And it just goes on down there forever. I mean, this is a big pack. He says it's 50 liters, but it looks large. It looks larger than that. So I'm gonna try to strap this frame up and show you how something like that might be done. This bag is, I think he said 1,000 denier nylon Cordura, and these pockets are sewn on all the way around. I got chickens in my backyard because my neighbors, they're taking this free-range chicken thing a little too seriously, I think. But anyways, this is the Deep Woods Ruck. Really excited about having the opportunity to try this out. So let's get the frame out. Alright, so I want to show you my frame. This is my shelf that goes on it here, and it just has it has two lips on this, two tabs on this outer side, so you can slide it on and off. I'm not really certain. The other ones I see aren't like this, so I got this for Christmas, so I never went and got another one, and I never really exchanged it. I've seen other ones mount differently than this one. My lower straps are already on there. You can see this is genuine surplus. It says Sergeant Asp say 2/3, so, or 2 out of 3. You can see that this will come loose. So what I ended up doing was I put that cheap set of bedroll straps at the bottom. So these are multi-purpose. Basically what they're doing is they're attaching the bottom of the pack to the frame here on the shelf, and they're also holding the shelf to the frame securely. As you can see, my shelf is kind of loose. So like I said, I'm not sure if that's just this brand. Maybe it's just an off-brand or something like that, or a part. But I don't think this is a surplus. It says for riveted rucksack frames. This one's riveted, so I guess that's how it works. Anyways, so before I put this on and attach this to the frame, which typically it sits like this, sometimes you're not allowed to attach this top strap here because the lip on the Alice pack slides down too far, and you're only able to use the bottom ones here like this. So some of the problems that people were running into is well, I can't get my shoulder straps to fit because the Alice pack won't accept my top strap. Well, that's fine, because basically all these straps are doing is just holding it in place and not allowing it to move side to side. It's also attached here by wrapping around. It's also attached here by wrapping around in the center and tying this off and then feeding it back through this buckle here. So I'll show you that here in a minute. So let's get this pack back up here, and I'll just do it this way. So you can see that what's going to happen here is this is going to slide in there like that. And your drag handle here is going to sit in place. Now you can see these two loops at the top. These are going to be for your height adjustment on your shoulder straps, which is going to be here. These are going to feed through that. Now, I may edit this video out a little bit because this is actually going to take me some time to figure it out. What I'm going to do here is I'm just going to attach the bottom straps. You can see the top ones here where they would fit. And I don't want this sitting too high because then I wouldn't be able to use my kidney pad. So I'm going to attach this and this center strap here, and I'll bring it right back. So I fed these straps back through this buckle. I fed it through this center webbing here. And then what I'm doing is I'm taking it and feeding it down behind this. So that way it stays in the center and I don't have a bunch of straps flapping around and it's out of the way. Because these right here, these two buckles And these two straps are not going to be used. Now, I'm going to move on to this strap here, which is going to go wrap around the center of the Alice frame. I think what I'm going to do first is I'm going to attach the pack to the frame. Not exactly sure if that's what he had in mind with that, but this is something that is going to take a little bit of playing around with on your part. Okay, so I have it going through both buckles here on both sides, and then back through the center. And this is going around the frame. So right now, this is attached to the Alice frame. What I did was I took that center strap here. Let me explain this before I go any further. What I'm doing here is I'm taking Molly 2 straps and putting them on an Alice frame. Molly 2 straps were not made for the Alice frame. If you're going to use the Alice system, the original Alice system, sorry about the plane. If you're going to use the original Alice system, then all this will go together really easy and it'll be a breeze. The reason why I like these Molly 2 straps is because they're a lot thicker. You have a lot more padding. So I chose to go with these over the Alice, the original Alice system, because the straps are wider, they're a lot thicker, and they bear load a lot better than the Alice straps do. The Alice straps are thin and they're narrow. So I chose to go with these. This is called the Hellcat Mod. I did a video on that. I'll leave the link in the description here. If you want to see, I attached my original Bushcraft Classic pack to that. And it made it a lot more comfortable. I could actually, I could bear more load if I needed to on this frame and this system, and it felt like I was carrying a lighter pack. So I'm choosing to do it this way. You don't have to. You can do it, you know, with the original Alice, if that's how you want to do it. But right now, I'm showing you how to do these Molly 2 strappings, or the Molly 2 straps, and the Molly 2 kidney. Okay, right now where I'm at is I tied my center and looped it around. So now this is secure to the frame as far as the height goes, right? So it won't go up any further. You can see these two straps wrapped around the frame right here. I did this loose so that way I can come back and I can tighten these down. You don't want them to be tight because you want to be able to adjust it. Make sure it's in the right spot height-wise, because I don't want it pushing up on this portion of the pack. So then what you do is you come in here and you take both straps. If I can find them both. Oh, okay. You have to do it from across. So this strap on this side and this strap on this side, and then Try to pull them both tight. Now it's going to take a little bit of finagling and a little bit of finesse, but eventually these will be centered on this frame. And that's not the only attachment point. These will also attach to the top, right here where your height adjusters are. They'll attach through these top loops up top. Up here in the top, these two loops on the frame. So you'll have these two straps here attaching to this. So your yoke is going to be secured from these 2 points here, this center point here, as well as these two straps here, and then the bottom strap. So you have 5 points of attachment to the frame, not to the pack, to the frame. So I'll bring you back. It's going to take a little bit of finesse to tighten these down and get them tight enough to where they're not going to move. I'll bring you back. Also note that these two straps right here belong to the top that I can't use, right? So I'm not going to use these two straps. They're just tucked in the back, behind, and out of the way. They're not flapping around on the sides of the pack. Now that I have these two straps here tight, and they're even side to side, you can see maybe the location is centered, okay, and they're tight. I mean, as tight as you can get them. They'll never really be super tight, but they're as tight as I can get them right now. I'm going to take these straps here from the shoulder straps and feed it through this loop on the frame. And we get a better view. So through the loop on the frame, like that. Okay, and I'm going to want to bring these up at least to the height of the frame bar. Okay. Now, what I do with these is I feed them back in through here. And this to me is the difficult part, because these buckles, they're not made to have such a large piece of webbing pass through it multiple times. Because basically what I'm doing is, once I get the height where I think it needs to be, what I typically do, like I said, is I make it level with the frame, and then I feed it back through, and then I feed it back through this buckle here. And this buckle, what's going on here is these are folded over and sewn together. Okay? So you can put your fingers in them and pull on them to adjust. But once I feed them through this buckle here, they're not going to be very adjustable. Once I get it set, it's not something that I have to adjust often. Once I figure out the load height and the pack height, that's not something I really have to go back and fix. Unless I loan it out to somebody and they're a different size frame than I am. So this is the hard part here, is trying to get these to fit through there. It's such a tight fit. There. It actually happened a little easier than I expected it to. There. Now, it's not as adjustable. Because once you pull on this, I guess it does a little bit. It will back out a little bit. It'll be alright. I'm not an expert at this by any means. I've only been using the system for a couple of months. But I was able to figure out how I wanted it set. And then I was able to figure out, once I got it set, that I didn't have to adjust it again. Okay, there. So, we're attached here, we're attached here, we're attached here, and now we're attached here on the top. Okay? So that's that part. The pack is attached up top, and it's attached in the center. I'm about to attach it here. In fact, I'm going to do this before I put on the kidney belt. Once I figure out the center, looks like this loop here is center. I'll put it on the front one because the back one doesn't look like. There we go. Now the pack is attached here. And then, once I put my bedroll on it, the pack will be attached again because my bedroll will go through these loops on the pack as well as all the way around the frame. Well, around the shelf anyways. So that's how that'll work. Let's go ahead and get this kidney pad on. This is another one that takes a little bit of finagling. Just thread through this way. Okay, like that. And then this side will feed through. Like that. Okay, now what happens is you reattach and rethread these through the buckles. I believe that they're made to go this way. So I'm going to have to attach this and I'll bring you right back. You want to put it on loose so that way you have the ability to center it and everything can be fed through. So go ahead and start pulling in on these, yanking on them. And it'll only go so tight. Just want to make sure that it's centered. You have the ability to move it side to side a little bit because there is a little bit of play between the buckle and the rings, right? I have my rings turned inward. So that's all it takes really. Is just sit there and kind of play with it. Now, you can see that this will form to your back. So when you have it on, a friend of mine who did a lot of ruck marches in the Marines said that you can take a hammer, well, you guys probably see it better this way. You can take a hammer and you can bend these tabs out. So that way it doesn't give you a rub right there on your kidney. But he was also talking about the original Alice frame kit, the kidney pads on the original Alice. They didn't do stuff like this in the military, so at least they didn't, not that I know of anyways. Okay, what I failed to show in the last video, I had to come back out here and do it again because I was out of screen, or out of shot. But what I did when I put this hip belt on was that or the kidney pad, was that I fed these through the rings on the bottom of the Alice frame and then pulled them tight. And because I don't like the kidney pad, I don't use it. This is the Molly 2. I fed the belt back through the back side of this and clamped it on the inside so it didn't rub on me, or it doesn't get in my way when I walk. It's not very tight. You can see that it has a lot of give to it, but it doesn't bother me. The frame is kind of set up for a shorter torso, so it sits right on top of, like the name says, kidney pads. It sits right on top of my hips. And if I were to wear this belt, it would go around my stomach, and I find that to be kind of uncomfortable, especially because I'm a bigger guy. So what I do is I wrap the strap around and I put it in the middle. Now I can still, if I need to, which I don't overload this pack, and I don't wear 100-pound loads. So I think what I have in here is probably about 30 pounds, maybe a little more. So it doesn't bother me. These pads right here and the way it sits on the frame is adequate enough for me. So I don't feel the need to use the kidney pad strap. But I do like the extra padding on my back, and I do like the way that it keeps it separate from my back. So I wasn't in frame last time, so I figured I'd share that with you guys. I apologize for the video being split like that, but I got it loaded up. And I have used it. Probably walked about, I don't know, I'd say probably 15 miles with it. And it's not heavy or cumbersome. I do like the way it rides. I do like the Molly 2 pads better than I do the other pads that I had. So this setup really works for me, and especially because I believe that 45 liters is the perfect setup, or the perfect size. This one being at 55, it's a little bigger than the Isle Royale Junior, so it really helps out and allows me to take the extra items that I need to take, like clothing if I'm going to stay the night. Really like this Deep Woods Ruck. If you have the opportunity to check it out, I would recommend it. There are other frames that you can buy that will work with this pack setup and this ruck setup. FILBE and the Molly 2 also work with it. So this is just the way that I set it up and the frame that I had on hand. I do plan on getting the FILBE. I have tried that one out. It does seem like you can have a longer torso on that. But again, I don't like to use hip belts. So If you're like me and you're tall, I'm about 6'3", and you need a longer torso, you might want to go with the FILBE because it's more adjustable in that sense than this one is. So, thanks everybody for watching. Enjoy the outdoors.